My name is Jeremy Watkins. I'm the owner and founder of Watkins Wrecking Crew. I'm a second-degree black belt. In this instructional series, what I'm going to cover is the Bodylock Takedown and all the various options that I like to use to get an opponent to the floor. We're going to start with entries. Okay, so our first entry into the Bodylock is going to come off of wrist control to an arm drag. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get control of one of his wrists. This can happen any number of ways. So we're just going to go with, I get a grip here on his wrist. So both thumbs on top, and I'm pulling down on it. As soon as I go to pull down on it, I want to shoulder check him here. As soon as I shoulder check, I'm going to take my right hand up to the elbow, just above the elbow at the tricep. I'm going to drag it across, and then I'm going to hug. So we'll do that again. I get wrist control, shoulder check. And you really want to drive in with the shoulder and put pressure. I'm pulling straight down on his wrist like I'm trying to pull it out the socket. And then I'm going to go to his elbow tricep area. I'm going to drag this arm across, and then I'll get my body lock position. Okay, our next entry into the body lock is going to come off of the same wrist control and a shoulder check, but they see an option to try and take your back, and we're going to get an underhook on the far side. So here's how it works. I get my wrist control. I'm going to shoulder check him, but he sees the entry to my back. So he starts to circle. I immediately take my right arm. I'm going to hug. As soon as I hug, I got to take my right foot behind, and then I'm going to slip my head out the back door. And I like to control his wrist and pull it in against his body. So we'll do that again. Wrist control, shoulder check. He comes around to my back. I get my underhook, slip through the other side, and I'm going to control the wrist. And now I have my body lock ready for my takedowns. Okay, so our next entry is going to come off of them trying to do a collar tie. I like to call this one the wax on, wax off entry. So it's going to work like this. When he reaches for my head, I'm going to block with my left hand. I'm going to grab, pull it down, and then my right hand reaches for the elbow tricep area. I'm going to drag it across, and then I'm going to come in and I'm going to hug. You can hug with the arm in, or you can hug without the arm in. Doesn't really matter. So we enter again. He goes to reach for my head for a collar tie. I block, and then I'm grabbing, pulling down, grab the tricep area, and I'm going to hug. All right, the next entry into the body lock is what I call a super duct. So I'm going to get control of both of his wrists. I'm going to open him up, and I'm going to change levels to enter into the body lock. So here's how that works. He's usually got his elbows in pretty tight, looking to get underhooks and collar ties and stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to control both wrists. So I come out to the side. I'm going to grab my right hand on top of this wrist, fingers inside, and then my left hand on top of the other wrist, fingers on the outside. As soon as I have this, I'm going to peel his hands apart, drop to my right knee as I'm pulling his arms apart. And then I'm going to step up with my left foot, hug and circle. Now I have my body lock. So we'll do that again. He's got his hands out, ready to engage. I step off to the side, grab, pull, and I'm a level change and pop up and get my body lock. All right, our next entry into the body lock is going to come off of the collar tie. So we've tied up, and I'm going to pop the elbow, and I'm going to enter into my body lock. So here's how that one works. He gets the collar tie on me. I'm going to get my collar tie, and usually when I get my collar tie, I'm trying to put weight down, push in with my head into the side of his head and ear. And then I'm going to take my left hand, I'm going to catch with a C grip at his elbow. I'm going to push it up and over, and then I can hug, and I've got my body lock. So doing that again, I pull on his head, and I'm pushing with my head into the side of his head. I'm going to get my C grip on his elbow. I'm going to push it up and over, and I have my body lock. Okay, so our last entry we're going to actually do from the ground. So I'm going to go from my butt to my feet. So the way this one is going to work is when my opponent, right now I'm in an open guard. When my opponent tries to enter into my leg, so what normally happens is he steps in the middle, right? And he's trying to put me on my back. Go ahead and step back. When he goes to step, I want to try and block him. So he goes to step at me, and I'm going to block here so I can keep the distance, control the distance. I can enter on my own terms. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to circle off to the side, hug, switch to grip, pull myself up right into a body lock. So we'll do that again. When he goes to enter inside my guard, I block. Keeping the distance, hug, circle, switch the grip, pop up to my body lock. Okay, so we're to our first takedown off of the body lock. So we're going to do just an Oragi, which is basically a mat return off of the body lock. And so I'll try and use maybe one of the entries, but you can use any entry that we've gone over so far to get into the body lock, and then we just go right after this takedown, or Oragi takedown. All right, so the way that this works, I'm going to do the wax on, wax off. He goes and he reaches for my head. I block, I grab, I drag. All right, I come into my body lock. As soon as I have my body lock, now what I need to do is I need to elevate him. And it's important when you get to the body lock position that you do this quickly, because otherwise he may go in A-frame just to keep his base and keep me from slamming him. So as soon as I get to this spot, I want to lift, and I'm going to tilt him to my left. So I'm going to tuck my elbow when I go to tilt. So I pick him up, lift, and bring him down to the mat. Now I can chase my katagatami, which would be my head and arm. I can start to look to go to the mount, whatever I choose from there. So we'll go ahead and do it again. He goes to reach for my head. I block, grab, drag, hug. I'm going to lift, and I'm going to pinch my left elbow down to collapse his hip. As soon as I take him down, I can switch to katagatami, looking for mount or whatever position I like to finish from. Okay, so our second option off of the body lock is going to come where we don't feel like we can necessarily lift or elevate, or maybe they're just moving to try and break the grips. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do Diashi Barai, which is a foot sweep. So we'll do the same entry, the wax on, wax off. He reaches for my head, I block, grab, drag, I enter into my body lock. As soon as I have my body lock here, maybe I don't feel like I can lift him all the way, or he's moving. If he was like moving forward like this, then I can chase my foot sweep, so the Diashi Barai. All right, but for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift just a little bit, so just that much. I need to just take his weight off of his feet a little bit. And then I'm going to catch his foot here with the instep, right? And that's going to complete my takedown. So I lift, foot sweep, and then I can chase the same positioning as far as my finish to the mount or katagatami, whatever you choose. So again, I enter into the body lock. I'm going to hug, small lift so that I can foot sweep him here. And it's just right here in the arch of my foot is where I'm catching him, that instep. So I just lift enough to take some of the weight off of his foot, sweep him, then I can chase whatever I want to finish. Okay, so our third option off of the body lock is going to be Oguruma, which is a throw from behind where I'm tripping him over my leg. So we're going to do the same entry. He's reaching, I grab, block, drag, I'm going to hug. All right, from right here, I don't want to be chest to back. If I'm chest to back, this one's not going to work. I need to go chest, basically to hip or ribs. From right here, what I want to do is I want to take my right leg behind both his legs and drop to my knee. So I'll do it without taking him down first. So I'm here, I drop to my left knee, and my right leg is catching both of his legs. I'm basically just pulling him down over my leg. So when we get to this spot, I was chest to back. I'm going to circle. So now I'm chest to hip or ribs. I'm pushing in slightly, and then I'm going to drop to my left knee and take my right leg behind both of his legs. And then again, I can complete my position however I want to once I get him to the ground. Go to the mount, chase katagatami, chase the back, anything you like. One more time. He reaches, I grab, and I'm going to drag, right? And it doesn't matter if it's under the arm, over the arm, it's going to work the same, right? I'm going to circle from chest to back to chest to ribs or hip, and then I'm going to drop to my left knee, catch him with my right leg, and then I can finish however I choose. Okay, so our next option off the body lock is going to be Yoko Guma, where I'm doing basically a sacrifice throw. So I'm sitting to the front when he's got a strong base, or even if he decides to A-frame where he puts his hands on the floor to try and prevent me from lifting him, elevating him, taking him down. So I'm going to sit to the front, cut his legs out that way, and roll him over my body. All right. Same entry. We'll start a little further back. Okay, so he reaches for my head. I block, grab, drag. I come in. I hug. All right, he's super solid in his base, even leaning forward a little bit. So when he's here, I can't lift him. All right, so I circle to the side like I'm about to do reverse taitoshi, but he's too far forward. If he's too far forward leaning, then I'm not going to be able to hit it. So what I like to do is I like to weave my leg here, and I'm going to sit to the front, and I'm going to roll him over my body. And then I get to mount him, chase kata gatami, or any other finish that I like to do after getting him to the floor. So we'll do that again. All right. So he reaches for my head, block, grab, drag, hug. I'm going to circle, hook, take him down, and finish. Okay, so this time we're going to use the Yoko Guma to counter their Uchima. So a lot of times what will happen when you enter into a body lock is they throw an overhook or whizzer on, and they look to enter the legs and lift and elevate. So the counter to this is going to be sitting to the front, scooping the leg, and finishing a Yoko Guma. So here's how that's going to work. We'll start back over here. I'm going to go with my entry off of wrist control, shoulder check. All right, when he circles, I get my underhook. And he throws his whizzer on. As soon as he does, he's looking to enter into my leg with an Uchimata. All right, as soon as he lifts, I'm going to sit, I'm going to hug his leg. Roll him over. And finish up on top. So we'll do it again. Wrist control, shoulder check. Underhook, he gets his whizzer. He looks to Uchimata me. All right, I sit, roll, and finish on top. So our next option is when they get the whizzer or overhook to counter our body lock. We're going to clear that hook by stepping to the front, bumping them so that they'll post their hands on the floor. There's a whole host of attacks you can do, front headlock stuff, back takes, and just other various takedown finishes. Right now we're just going to get them to the ground, and you can opt for whatever type of finish you like. Okay, so same type of entry. I'm going to go off of wrist control, shoulder check. So I get the wrist control, I shoulder check him, he circles. I get my underhook, he gets a whizzer on me. As soon as we get to here, I'm just going to come into my body lock like I'm trying to run him over, all right? But from here, if I don't feel like I can get where I have leverage to finish him, then I'm going to step to the front just to clear this hook. So I step to the front here, I bump him so he'll post his hand. As soon as he posts his hand, I'm going to collapse that arm, and then I can hug the neck. Start chasing, back, mount, whatever I choose. So we'll do it again. My entry. All right, he circles. I get my underhook. He gets his whizzer. All right, from here I come into my body lock, trying to finish, pushing, can't get it, so I step to the front, bump him. He posts his hands. I collapse that, and then I'm going to hug the neck. So my right hand under the armpit. I'm going to hug the neck. I can start to climb, finish mount, back, or whatever I want. Okay, so the next takedown that we're going to do off of the body lock is also going to come off of their Wizzer Counter to my body lock, where I'm basically just going to run him over. So I do a walkover. All right, so we'll do the same entry off of wrist control. All right, shoulder check, he circles. I hug, he gets his whizzer. As soon as he has his whizzer, what I like to do first is I'm going to drive my head in. I'm going to hug and I'm going to squeeze. Once I squeeze and push with my head, I'm able to walk right over into the mount. So we'll do that again. Wrist control, shoulder check. He circles, I get my underhook. He has his whizzer. From here, I'm going to push with my head. I'm going to connect my hands. I'm going to pull so I can mount him. Okay, so our last takedown option off of the body lock is actually going to be a back take. So we're going to do a leg weave, and we're going to enter into the back. All right, so here's how this one works. I'm going to go off the wax on, wax off. He reaches for my head. I grab, I drag it across. Doesn't matter if I have arm in or arm out. Okay, a lot of times they're going to be trying to get this arm out as quick as they can so that they can A-frame. So when he goes to A-frame here, putting his hands to the floor, I'm going to take my right leg, I'm going to hook it around his near leg and all the way to the far leg. I sit, right, and then I can throw my hook in, looking to come to the bottom side so that my head is under his head. Seatbelt, I can start chasing whatever, black hole, arm bars, anything I like. Okay, so we'll do it again. All right, wax on, wax off. Hug, he A-frames. So I'm going to take my right leg, I'm going to weave it between his legs, and then I'm going to sit to my right hip. So you go here, I sit. As soon as I sit, I'm throwing my hook in, looking to get my seatbelt and get my head under his head.